This is the Blix Vika X folding e-bike, and today I'm going to tell you exactly what I think about it. Hi, my name is Hobart from HobartReviews.com, and after spending some time living, riding, and folding the Vika X, here is exactly what you need to know before you buy one. It sells for around $1,799, and it comes in 4 color options: slate gray, racing green, burgundy, and steel blue, which is the color that I have here. Now, they offer a 1-year manufacturer's warranty, a 14-day return policy, and shipping is free. Now, one huge pro is that this baby comes fully assembled. You just pull it out of the box, put the pedals on, charge up the battery, and pump up the tires, and you're ready to ride. Now, this bike's claim to fame is right here. It's the technology. This bike has the MicroShift 26 automatic gear shifter. And the way that it works is instead of manually switching your gears, you just have a toggle up in the cockpit where you can toggle up for gear up or toggle down for gear down, and it will switch it all by itself. Now, if you want to go fully automatic, you can put this bike in auto mode, enable the automatic gear shifting in the app, and this bike will switch all by itself from gears 1 through 8 without you doing anything, all depending on how much pressure you're putting in those pedals. Now, I'm going to show you how all this works when we head out on the ride in just a few minutes. Now, the power is coming from a 500-watt rear hub motor producing about 55 Newton meters of torque. Now, that's paired with a 48-volt, 614 watt-hour removable battery. The battery locks into the frame with the included keys and can be removed for easy indoor charging. The bike also uses a torque sensor, which is my favorite. Now, this adjusts the power of the motor based on how hard you're pedaling instead of just dumping 100% power on you like a cadence sensor does. Now, this is an upgrade over the Vika Plus Flex, which had a cadence sensor. In real-world riding, that torque sensor really does make a difference. Compared to the Velotrek Fold 1 Plus, which is my current favorite, the Vika X's pedaling and torque sensor feels just slightly better than the Velotrek, which I was surprised. Now, there are some drawbacks, and I'll go over those when we head out on the ride in a few minutes. The frame is made from aluminum alloy and designed to fold down to about 36 by 21 by 29 inches. The bike weighs roughly 55 pounds, and it supports a total payload of 312 pounds, including up to 60 pounds on the rear rack. Now, Blix recommends this bike for riders 4'10" to 6'2" inches. Now, this range is possible because of the adjustability of the handlebars and the seat height. Now, I've not seen an e-bike with this much adjustability for shorter and taller riders. All right, let me go ahead and show you how easy it is to fold the bike down. First, you're gonna undo the latch here on the handlebars. Then there's a little button up front here you're gonna push, and that releases the handlebars to be folded down. Down here in the middle of the frame, you have a little safety latch you can flip up, undo the latch, put the kickstand up, and now is where we use our knee to help fold the bike in half. So now it is ready to put in the back of your vehicle, under the stairs, or in a tight space. The Vika X rides on 20 by 2.4-inch street tires, which are designed mainly for pavement and bike paths. Now, these are not aggressive off-road tires, and this bike really isn't meant for heavy trail riding. Stopping power comes from hydraulic disc brakes with 180mm rotors. Now, this is an upgrade over mechanical disc brakes and is expected on an e-bike at this price range. Now, you could take the Vika X off-road out of necessity or in short spurts, and I'll show you a little bit of off-roading when we go out on the test ride. But this really is a city cruiser and not a dirt bike. I'll also be doing a high-speed brake test to see how well these hydraulic brakes work when we really need them. Up front, you get a full-color TFT display that shows speed, assist level, range, and gear info. The Blix Vika X has even more information available if you scroll through the different menus using the button at the bottom of the screen. The headlight features both a low beam and a high beam mode, which is great for night riding. In the rear, the taillight and turn signals are integrated directly into the rear utility rack, making them easy to see and nicely protected. The Vika X comes standard with a rear rack rated for 60 pounds, front and rear fenders, and a front mounting point for baskets or racks. Blix sent me a couple of accessories to try out, including the front and rear basket. Now, the front basket's pretty cool because it's attached directly to the frame. So if you have any weight up front, when you turn your wheel, that weight isn't gonna go with you. It stays centered, which is nice. It also has a cool drink holder in there so you can put your drink in there. Now, in the rear, this basket attaches directly to the rear rack, and then there's a wood panel that goes on top of it, and you screw it in from the bottom. Unfortunately, there was no way for the screw to stop, and it poked through all 4 corners on this wood panel. So just be careful if you're installing. Tight doesn't mean good. You actually are going to be leaving it loose in order to not poke through that board. Now, my biggest concern is folding. Being that these baskets are so big, when you try to fold this this thing together, it's not going to fold in such a compact size, if at all. So if you need to be able to store this under your stairs or put it in the back of your vehicle all the time, you might want to think twice about the baskets. Now let's go ahead and try and see what happens when you try to fold this thing with the basket. So we'll fold it like so. And as you can see, the baskets touch each other here, so it's going to make it a much larger area that this is going to have to fit into if you have the baskets on. Well, now that we know everything there is to know about the Blix Vika X, what do you say? Let me grab my helmet and let's take this thing for a ride. Let's find out how well it actually performs in the real world compared to what they say on paper. Let's go. Now, the first thing I like to do is a top speed test while we have full battery to see what the potential of this bike is. Now, when you get it in the box, it's going to be in the Class 2 configuration, which means your throttle is going to be limited to 20 miles an hour and your pedaling will be limited to 20 miles an hour. But if you go into the Blix app, you go into the assist settings, you can change that from 2 to 3. Now that's going to unlock pedaling up to 28 miles an hour and your throttle is still going to stay at 20. So I haven't gotten this thing up to 28 miles an hour yet because you got to pedal really, really hard in order to get there. So I'm going to try really hard for you today and see if we can reach 28 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and see. I'm in turbo mode. 49 miles of range it says, and I'm in gear number 8. We're already at 18 miles an hour, 20, 21, 23, 25. You hear that shuddering? 26, 27, 28, 29, 29.1. Okay, so you can feel the bike cut off at 29 on its own, so it's not going to let you go past that. But I was able to get to 28 today. I'm a little out of breath, but not too bad. That was a good top speed test. All right, we're gonna do a high speed brake test. We're doing 23 miles an hour. We're gonna slam on the brakes and see what happens. Whoa! Well, there was no skidding at all. I see a little bit of a line where we were slowing down. So let me pace that off real quick and see how long it took us to stop from almost 24 miles an hour. It looks like it starts right about here. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. About 30 feet it took us to stop from almost 24 miles an hour with these hydraulic brakes. That's some of the best stopping distance that I've seen in a while. So nice brake test. All right, let me show you the different gears. So obviously we have the electronic gear shifting and you have a little toggle here that you can toggle instead of manually shifting your gears. Now right now I'm in gear number 1 and look how fast my feet are moving. I'm doing 6.8 miles an hour in gear 1. I'm not sure why anybody would want to pedal this fast, this slow. So that kind of turns me off a little bit that in gear 1, my feet are going so fast. So let me go to gear 2. In gear 2, it's a little bit better, but again, my feet are still going real fast. I'm doing 9 miles an hour. Gear 3, picking it up a little bit. Again, my feet are still going real fast. I'm only going 10 miles an hour. We'll go to gear 4. All right. Still, feet going real fast. I'm doing 12.7 miles an hour. Gear 5, 13.5, 13.8 miles an hour. Feet still going fast. Now we're in gear 6, 14.8, 15. Feet still going fast, 16 miles an hour. All right, 7. We're doing 16, 17 miles an hour, feet still going fast. And then finally, gear 8. I pretty much ride in gear 8 all the time, and the reason is because otherwise my feet are going too fast. So that's something that I don't really like about the Vika X is that I can't pedal in any other mode besides 8. Otherwise, my feet are going crazy. All right, so in order for the gears to shift all by themselves, you do have to have it in auto mode, and then you have to go into the Blix app and you have to choose automatic gear shifting. Otherwise, it won't work. So right now, I've got it in 3 because when I go in 1 or 2, I feel like the automatic gear shifting doesn't even sense I'm pedaling. So I'm gonna start in 3 and I'm gonna show you how this changes the harder that you pedal. So let's hope it works. All right. Oh, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, there's 7, and there's gear 8. So as you can see, it automatically shifted all by itself up to gear 8. Now the problem is, it doesn't shift back down to gear 1 as you slow down. So it does say that it's still in beta, so maybe they're working on that. I'm not sure if it's possible, but it will shift the gears up to 8, but it won't shift the gears back down to 1 as you slow down. So that's how the electronic shifting works. Now, I typically stay in the turbo mode, and that's because auto just doesn't do it for me. It doesn't give me enough motor, and it feels like I'm working too hard. So it's up to you on how you want to ride. You also have eco mode, you have touring mode, and then of course turbo mode. So those are your 3 other modes that you can ride in. I like to ride in turbo mode. All right, so I told you that this is a city bike and really not meant to be ridden off-road, so I'm gonna ride it off-road just to show you. Now, of course, we don't have any suspension on this bike, so another reason why it's a city bike, because it doesn't have any shock absorption for when you are riding off-road. Like right now, I'm hitting ruts and things like that, and it's a really bumpy ride, because there is no suspension, but the tires aren't doing too bad. I am in some pretty compacted dirt right now, so it's able to handle it without too many issues. I just worry that if you're going too fast and you try to turn, that is when you're gonna have some issues. But it's not doing too bad. Now I got some softer stuff coming up here. Let's see how well it does on this softer stuff. Yep, not bad. Whoa, all right, now it's getting a little fishy. So there you go. If out of necessity or in short spurts you need to go off-road, you can with the Vika X, but pretty much just keep it to the pavement. Now it seems like my natural cadence or speed when I'm pedaling is about 17 to 18 miles an hour. I'm going about 17.5 right now. I'm in gear 8, I'm in turbo mode, and this is comfortable without having to pedal too fast where I start bouncing up and down, and also not going too slow. So it's not gonna keep you up at 28 miles an hour when you're pedaling like this, like other bikes do. You gotta work for it. But the standard cadence for me is about 17 to 18 miles an hour. All right, so let's talk about the seat comfort. So it's not the worst and it's not the best. I'll give it like a 6 or 7 out of 10 because it's comfortable, but I do have to readjust my rear end every once in a while because it starts to get a little numb, but it's not bad. All right, well, I just hit 50% battery. It says I've got 25 miles left. I have no idea how many miles we've gone so far. I can only guess maybe 12, 13, something like that. But we have 50% battery left. And I've done a mixture of pedaling and throttle throughout this ride. So it's gonna be kind of a mixture of both. Now, when you start, it says you have 49 miles if you were to pedal in turbo mode, and you have 36 or 37 miles if you were to use the throttle the entire time. Since I've been doing a mixture of both, I should get somewhere in between. Now, I'm not gonna ride all 40 miles today, but it'll give us a good idea how close the bike is to what we actually rode. And so far, it seems like it's doing pretty good, but let's keep riding. Man, I wish this thing had suspension. You know, that would just be a cherry on top. If you had suspension on here, that way when you're riding, even in the city streets, when you hit bumps, you're not ba-bump, ba-bump. And then mix that with the semi-hard seat, and your butt starts to go numb. All right, let's talk about the torque sensor. So on the lower end bikes, remember, they have the cadence sensor, which senses any movement of the pedals and gives you 100% power. We don't like that. If you want exercise and you want it to feel natural, you want a torque sensor. And that's found on higher end bikes like the Vika X. So up until this point, the Velotrek Fold 1 Plus has been my #1 folding e-bike, #1 torque sensor. It's an incredible bike. But I gotta say, the Vika X might have it inched out by a little bit. The pedaling feels so natural, and it's almost like the motor's already on when you start pedaling. There's no delay at all. Ready? Motor's on. I mean, it's almost instant. So I gotta say, when it comes to the torque sensor, the feeling of the pedaling, how natural it feels, the Vika X might inch out the Velotrek Fold 1 Plus just a little bit. Now, as I said, this is a city bike, so in situations like this where you wanna ride around the neighborhood, if you live in a big neighborhood or ride around the city on the sidewalks, this is the perfect bike for that. You notice how quiet the bike is? It's very quiet. You can barely hear the motor, if at all. No clickety clanks. It's just nice and quiet. Now, the ride quality is really nice here on the Vika X. Now, if you want high quality, this right here is definitely a top contender. They've fine-tuned everything very similar to the Velotrek Fold, where they made it with high quality parts, they engineered it right, They've got the controller and the torque sensor and everything working together. So it's a little expensive for my taste, but if you want the best, Blix definitely is a contender for some of the best e-bikes out on the market. All right, well, I think we covered pretty much everything on today's ride, so let's head back to the car. I'll give you my final range results and my pros and cons. Let's go. Well, that was a lot of fun today, but before we get to our pros and cons, let's go ahead and get our final range results. Now, using the Blix app, which does track your ride, which is a nice feature, it says we have 40% battery remaining, and in turbo mode, we would have 19 miles remaining. Now, if you add 19 and 17 together, you get about 36 miles of range, which is not bad at all. That falls right in line with about 50% of what they state if you're riding in the fastest mode and using throttle and pedaling. Now, if I was to switch this into eco mode says I have 35 miles of range left. So 35 plus 17 is about 52 miles, which still isn't bad. Now, this is perfect if you're going to be using this to go get groceries, especially with these big baskets, or if you're going to be using it as a daily commuter. I don't know too many people that are going to be going 40 or 50 miles of range round trip, or even single way to get to where they're going. So this is perfect for the city rider, for the commuter, for the grocery getter, for riding around the neighborhood and just having a good time. But overall, we went 17 miles today. We hit the top speed of 28, 29 miles an hour, pedaling really hard, I might add, but it was still able to get there. So not a bad range test. All right, let's get to my pros and cons, and we'll start off with the pros. Number one has got to be the build quality. The Blix Vika X is just like the Velotrek Fold 1 Plus. It is fine-tuned and built well. They use high-quality parts on here, from the hydraulic brakes to the torque sensor to even the welds on the frame. They're just really beefy and really nice. This bike screams high quality, so that's definitely a pro. Pro number two is going to be the portability. This is a folding e-bike, so if you're looking for something that can easily fit in the trunk of your car or the back of your SUV or underneath the stairs in a small space, a folding e-bike is definitely it. And the Blix Vika X does it really well. So the portability and the fact that it weighs 55 pounds, so pretty much anybody could lift it up, bring it up a flight of stairs, or put it in your car. So the portability is definitely a pro. The next pro is going to be those hydraulic brakes, which I do expect on a bike of this price point, but they work really well. There's no squeaking at all, and they were able to stop us from 23, 24 miles an hour in under 30 feet, and that's great. So the hydraulic brakes are definitely a pro. The next pro is going to be that electronic shifting. Now, again, that's technology that you're going to find on $5,000 e-bikes. So the fact that it's on a sub $2,000 e-bike, that's really nice. Now, of course, it's going to allow you to let the bike shift those gears for you automatically from gear 1 through 8, depending on how much pressure you put on those pedals. Unfortunately, it doesn't go from 8 back down to 1, and maybe that's something they're working on. I'm not sure if that's in line for the future or if that's just the way it is. But I really like being able to just hit a toggle to make my gears go up and down instead of pushing manually on a Shimano gear shifter. So the electronic shifting is definitely a pro. Now, another pro is definitely going to be that torque sensor down there. The Velotrek Fold 1 Plus has been my number one, but the Blix Vika X has edged it out just slightly, just by a hair. It is very natural feeling. Like I said on the ride, it almost feels like the motors are already on, ready to go. There's no delay in it at all, and it's just really nice, natural pedaling. So it's one of the nicest, if not the nicest torque sensor I've seen on a bike, which is definitely, par for the course for a bike at this price point, but the torque sensor is really nice and definitely a pro. The next pro's got to be the assembly, or lack thereof. This thing comes ready to ride. All you have to do is put the pedals on, pump up the tires, and charge the battery, and you're ready to go. There's no hour or 2 hours in the garage trying to put the thing together. You want to get this thing out on the road and ride it, right? Well, Blix makes sure that you can do that by pulling it out of the box, and it's almost ready to go. So the assembly, or that lack thereof, is definitely a pro. And my final pro has got to be the cargo and the utility. Obviously, we got front and rear baskets on this thing. It's easy to take it up to the grocery store to get some groceries, or to run some errands, or even to take this as a commuter to and from work. You've got plenty of storage. You can put your laptop or your bag back here, and you can put your coffee or your drink up front, and you can ride to work and ride home from work. But the cargo and utility is awesome here on the Blix Vika X. All right, let's talk about the cons. No e-bike is going to be perfect, and my con number one has got to be the price. It is really an expensive e-bike, but you get what you pay for. At $1,799, it's not easy for just anyone to purchase one of these. The good news is they do offer payments, so you could break it down like that and still afford this. But overall, it's an expensive e-bike, but they're using high quality parts on this bike, so it's as to be expected. My next con has to be the pedaling and the gears. Now, I'm not sure why it's different on this bike. We have the same 8 gears as I find on other bikes, but gears 1 through 3 are pretty much worthless. You have no resistance, you're pedaling really fast and not going anywhere. Once you get through gears 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, you start to feel some of that resistance. But once you get to gear 8, you're still not at top speed. So you got to pedal really fast in order to get to 28 miles an hour, and I don't really like doing that. So again, I'm not sure why it's different on this bike, but I'd like to be able to have gears 1 through 3 be useful, and I'd also like to be able to get to 28 without getting out of breath when I'm in gear 8. Another con is going to be this auto mode. Now, they say that AI will do everything for you, and once you put it in auto mode, you don't have to touch it. But I disagree. I've tried this multiple times in auto mode, and I feel like the harder that I pedal, I don't get any more help from the motor. So I'm just pedaling harder and getting more out of breath and doing more work, and the bike is kind of just staying the same. Plus, if you want to do that automatic gear shifting thing, you have to go into the app and enable it. But if you accidentally touch the toggle just one time on the handlebars, it takes it out of automatic mode and you have to go back into the app and re-enable it. So I'd like to see that stick unless I remove it, so that if I accidentally do touch the toggles or I have to switch gears, that it doesn't disengage the automatic gear shifting. So I think they still have a little bit of work to do in the auto mode. Definitely bringing those gears from 8 back down to 1, if that's even possible. So like I said, it's in beta, so I'll give it to them, but it's definitely a con. Well, that's going to do it for the video today. If you have any questions or comments about the Blix Vika X, don't forget to leave them down below and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Also, use the affiliate link down there if you want to purchase one of these guys. It doesn't cost you a penny more, but it definitely helps out the channel. And hit that like and subscribe if I earned it today, and don't forget to hit that bell so next time I put out a video, you will be notified. Well, for the Blix Vika X and HobartReviews.com, my name is Hobart. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you on the next ride.